Good afternoon and welcome to Seniors Count. I'm your host, Tula Mall. On our show, we believe that you are the foundation on which Boston was built. So our goal is to connect you to resources, benefits, and information to enhance your life. Thank you for joining us. Today, my guest is Mimi Turchinets.
Perfect.
The campaign director of the City of Boston's Earned Income Tax Credit campaign. Mimi is here to share with us how you may be eligible for the Senior Circuit Breaker Tax Credit when filing your Massachusetts income tax return. Welcome to the show, Mimi.
Thank you, Tula. Nice to see you.
You too. So let's start by, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is the Earned Income Tax Credit Coalition?
So it's the Earned Income Tax Credit Coalition, or the EITC, Boston EITC Coalition, as we like to call it, is a public-private partnership in conjunction with the mayor's office, community-based organizations, private nonprofits, financial organizations, large institutions, so organizations like Action for Boston Community Development, your organization, the Elderly Commission, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, other organizations like that.
A large coalition.
It is. We've got over 30 partners.
Wow.
The focus of the Earned Income Credit Coalition is obviously to let people know about the Earned Income Credit, which is something, it's a refundable credit for people who work that a lot of people have not known about over the years. We've been doing this for over a decade, and more people are applying for the credit. It provides millions of dollars back to taxpayers across the country. This year we decided to build more of a partnership with the Elderly Commission to make sure that seniors were being provided with education around the circuit breaker credit. So we like to focus on the Earned Income Credit, but also the circuit breaker credit for seniors.
Okay, well, that's perfect lead in. Explain what is the circuit breaker tax credit, and maybe explain what the differences are there.
Sure.
If there's a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. Well, so the Earned Income Credit is more primarily for families, younger folks who have children in the household, and it's the one thing about the Earned Income Credit is you have to have earned income to get that credit. It's a refundable credit specifically focused on income, and so in some ways it's something that Congress did because they wouldn't raise the minimum wage. What it does, it actually gives the working families significant more money in their annual income, right? So it gets more people out of poverty than any other program that we have in the country. Okay. The difference is that the circuit breaker credit, the EIC is both federal and state. The circuit breaker is a state credit, so it's dollars that come from the state budget, specifically for seniors who are 65 years or older. But it's also a refundable credit, which is significant, so that even if you don't owe taxes, you can get that refundable credit. And it's based on real estate taxes. Okay. But it is not, you don't have to own your own home to get the circuit breaker credit. You either own your own home or rent in the private market. So if you're in BHA housing, subsidized housing, you're not eligible for the credit. We've actually had scammers who were taking advantage of the elderly a couple of years ago, who were going after people who lived in BHA housing. So you can't live in subsidized housing to get this credit. You need to be either a homeowner or live in private rental housing.
So specifically, I know you kind of touched on these, but what is the eligibility for the senior circuit breaker?
So the eligibility is you need to be 65 years or older. You need to rent or own your own home. And then there's an income test and a value test, and I need to look those up.
Okay.
So for your income, you need to have less than $55,000 a year for singles, for a single senior, $69,000 if you're head of household, or $82,000 if you're married, filed joint, if you file married, filed jointly.
Okay.
So, it's not for people who are very low income, right? I mean, it's lots of seniors fall into that. And then there's also this kind of specific component around the value of your property. So the value of your property is, I don't have it here.
It's okay. Yeah,
it's
I remember
like
it being
close to 100,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought I
or
remembered.
700,000.
Yep.
I mean, it's really, your property has to not be eligible for this credit. You have to live in a pretty grandiose unit or apartment or house, so that it's definitely pretty much for lots of seniors.
Yeah. So this seems pretty complicated.
It is complicated.
So
yes,
how
it
can
is.
people who have a hard time maybe understanding it, who can they
Right.
reach out to?
So
to help them out?
we at the one of the things that the EITC Coalition does is we do education, but we also make sure that people can file their taxes for free in the city. And so this large coalition that we were talking about has numerous partners who have community-based tax sites. So Action for Boston Community Development is one of those key partners. They are very knowledgeable about the circuit breaker. The Roxbury Resource Center, which is in Roxbury and Dudley Square, is very knowledgeable about the circuit breaker. Any of the AARP tax aid sites can be very knowledgeable about the circuit breaker.
So anywhere that people would go to get their taxes, or
Yes.
assistance with their taxes,
Yes.
they can go with that.
Yeah, and it's better to go to one of the tax sites where you can find them through bostontaxhelp.org, which is our website.
Yep.
Or you could call 617-918-5275. It's really important to go to a knowledgeable preparer, somebody who's certified.
Okay.
Because if you don't, part of the problem is that they may just give it to you even if you're not eligible.
Okay. So, I mean, they can call the Elderly Commission and we
They
can
can,
connect
yep.
them
That's right.
to the appropriate resource. What was I going to ask about what if someone isn't, so for a lot of seniors, they're not working, so they're not
Right.
earning an income, so they don't think, oh, I got to file my taxes. So what happens with them?
So they should go and check and see whether or not they're eligible.
Okay.
Because you don't have to be working, you don't have to be in that category where you're required to file
Yep,
your
okay.
taxes, and you still may be able
And it's
to.
a way for them to get money
Yes.
back.
And it's significant money, right? So this year in 2013, the total circuit breaker amount is $1,030.
Wow.
The other thing that's significant is if you haven't filed this for the circuit breaker and you're eligible, you can go back 3 years. So you can go all the way back to 2001. So it's a lot of money,
Okay.
right? I mean, it
so they
could
can file
be-
for 3 years
Yes.
previous if they
Yes.
haven't filed before.
Yes.
Wow. So that could be a
It
significant
is,
amount
and
of
the
money.
other thing too that's important to know is that tax season, as people assume or know,
Yeah.
that if you owe money, you have to pay it by April the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
But to get the circuit breaker, you can do that any time of year.
Oh, I was gonna ask
So
that.
after April the 15th, you can still come to an ABCD, APAC, or the Mattapan Family Service Center, or the Roxbury Resource Center, and we'll do your taxes, and we'll get you the circuit breaker.
That's very interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I
Yep.
assumed as well that the deadline
No,
for
you
this
can do it
was-
year-round.
So you can
It's
do it
just-
year
yeah.
round.
Yep.
But since it's kind of on everyone's
Right.
list right now,
Right.
why not do it now?
Right,
give you some
exactly.
little extra money to put up with this winter.
That's right, exactly.
What documentation can people people need to have in order to fill this out?
You need to bring your real estate taxes if you own a home. If you don't own a home, you need to bring your water bill, any of the stuff that you would be bringing normally to get your taxes done, how much you've paid in rent. So that's another thing that when you call the tax site, you just need to make sure that you bring all the stuff that they're asking you to bring, and the stuff that you would bring normally to get your taxes done.
So you recommend making an appointment, right?
I would,
Instead of
yep.
just showing up.
You can show up at the Roxbury Resource Center. The ABCD sites you do need an appointment for.
But in case you don't have the documentation, it just makes
you
more
should-
sense
it
to make
makes
an
sense to
appointment,
call.
and
Yep.
they can tell you. And I know that this information is in the Boston Seniority Magazine for
It is.
March.
Yes, it
is. It
is.
listed on there? What documentation? I can't remember if that's on there. Or not. If not, they can there's numbers on there
Yeah,
they can call.
they should
right?
call. Yep.
All right. And what's the phone numbers again that people should?
617-918-5275. 5275, and then the ABCD number is 617-348-6583.
Okay, and that's also, again, call the Elderly Commission and we can connect you to that. What do you think is the biggest benefit of this benefit? I mean, I guess it's a benefit.
I think the
for
biggest
seniors.
benefit is it's money,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's
that's true.
$1,000. It's $1,000, and then if you haven't filed, you can get close to, not exactly $4,000,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, because every year it's a little bit less. But no, I mean, it's really important that people, you really need to find out if you're eligible, and you really need to file, because it's a significant amount of income that can go towards heating oil or food or gifts for your grandchildren.
And there's
anything.
nothing to lose. So
Nothing
if they
to
show
lose at all.
up
That's
and they
right.
find out that they are not eligible,
That's right.
then it's just, okay, well,
Right,
go. It's
right.
You took a trip.
That's right, you took
That's
a day.
all it was.
Yep, that's right.
All right, well, again, thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
by and talking about it. I think it is very complicated when people hear senior circuit breaker. A lot of
Right.
people said, is that having to do with electricity?
Right, exactly, yeah.
But it isn't. It's a tax benefit or a tax
Correct,
credit.
yep.
And
refundable, right? So it's money.
it's a refund.
It's money in your
yes.
pocket. Yeah.
And you don't have, the most important thing is over age of 65,
Over
right?
age of 65, yep.
You don't have to have an income,
That's right.
and then contact us to see if you're eligible.
Correct.
So great. Again, thank you so much for
Thank you very
coming
much.
by.
Thank
And we'll
you.
have to have you come by to talk about other stuff next
Okay,
time.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Coming up on Seniors Count, we'll learn more about our Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Stay with us.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hey, everybody! Heart disease affects 1 in every 3 women in America, but you can fight back. There's no time to lose. Mothers, sisters, daughters, families, and friends, it's time to shout louder, stand stronger, and demand change.
Let's go!
To the Batmobile. Dang it.
To the invisible jet!
Dang it.
Together, we can put an end to heart disease. It's time to go red for women.
I could use your help.
Learn more from the American Heart Association at www.goredforwomen.org.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams.
Students who miss 18 days of school in any grade risk falling behind and not graduating. Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today.
Kids will spend 57 minutes making me go splat.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Welcome back to Seniors Count. Do you have some extra time to contribute to your community? If so, we have someone on the second half of our show that is going to talk about just that. Joining me to talk about this long-running initiative is Taisha Jones-Horner, the RSVP Administrative Assistant at the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly. Welcome, Taisha.
Thank you for having me.
We are so happy to see you here.
I'm glad to be here.
So why don't we explain to us a little bit about what is RSVP, because a lot of people are like, oh, what is this about?
Right. RSVP is a national service program which is funded by the Corporation of National and Community Service, and it is being managed by the Commission on the Affairs of the Elderly, which is centrally located in Boston City Hall.
Okay. And what is this? What does the City of Boston manage? What exactly is this program?
Okay. This program, what we do is we match individuals 55 years and older with awesome volunteering opportunities throughout the city of Boston. We offer them ongoing support And the best thing, volunteers are allowed to choose how many hours they would like to serve, and they can also choose where they would like to serve.
Oh, okay. So you started touching on this. Why don't you tell us what are the eligibility requirements for someone who's interested in serving in their community?
Be 55 and older. If they're offering transportation, to have a valid driver's license, and pass a query.
Pass a query, great. You started touching on this about the length of, but how long has RSVP been at the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly?
For a very long time, since 1972.
Wow.
Which is awesome because the Elderly Commission has tools that allows them to identify the needs of the elderly within the community.
Yep.
So it lets us know exactly where we need to put our volunteers to make a bigger impact.
Right. What right now are you recruiting for? Specifically, what kind of volunteer opportunities can seniors apply to?
Right. We found that there was a tremendous need for companionship services, such as providing transportation to and from food pantries, or either picking up food from the food pantries to their clients. You know, some people can't get out due to medical reasons. Some people just can't carry those bags from those pantries, and they rely on that food.
Okay.
So we want to get volunteers matched up so that they can help them with that.
So just to clarify, so you're looking for people who obviously must have a car.
Right, they must have a car.
Who would be able to either maybe pick up food at different food pantries and then deliver it to, well, I guess they would be their companion or their,
exactly.
for lack of a better word, a client.
Exactly, for their client.
Yep.
And the great thing is that we offer insurance so that when they are on the job and they're doing that for their client, they have insurance.
Can you estimate like what the time requirement would be for someone who'd be interested in doing that in their community?
Maybe about 3 hours.
A week, right?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Would it be like 1 or 2 times a week, or I guess it would depend on.
It would depend on how many times they would want to do it.
They're available to do it.
Exactly, and that's the great thing about the program. You know, it's very flexible, and it's an opportunity to uplift and inspire your peers and just make a difference.
And to meet your neighbors.
And to meet
right?
your neighbors.
I mean, how many of your neighbors do you not know?
Exactly.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, true.
right?
True. You get out and just make a difference, meet your neighbors, and it's an awesome program.
It's a great way to meet people and to know that you're doing something really important for that specific person. It's not just some random putting together, I don't know, pieces of paper or something. I mean, you're actually affecting a specific person.
Right.
And then you get to know that person.
Exactly.
That's really heartfelt.
Exactly.
What else, what other opportunities are there for the seniors?
To offer respite services. We have caregivers that, you know, they take on a lot all on their own, and we want to be able to place volunteers to be able to take their loved one or whoever they're taking care of out for a few hours, giving the caregivers some time to just regroup and, you know, and just continue.
Have some time for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I've read a lot about the statistics on caregivers. So people who are taking care of a loved one, their health declines.
Exactly.
They get super stressed out because they can't handle, not that they can't handle, but they can't take care of their own needs, right? Like, I don't know, I'm assuming maybe they need to go to the doctor, so then they get sick. So that doesn't help out the person they're caring for if they're sick too.
Right. You know what, Tula, and this is, you know, it hits close to home because my grandmother, she was a double amputee, and my uncle was her caregiver, and he became ill, and he had one of his legs amputated.
Oh my goodness.
And I just wish something like that was around when they were here, because they would have really taken advantage of a great program like that.
And it's amazing what just an hour, and again, this is another situation I'm assuming where there's flexibility.
Right.
So it's what can you offer?
Exactly.
Right? Can you offer an hour a week? Can you offer 2, 3, whatever it is?
It's very flexible.
Yeah.
It's very flexible. It's a little bit of time or as much as you want, and it makes a great impact.
It does. And again, you're out in your community meeting your neighbors. I think that's very impactful.
Exactly.
Anything else that you want to talk to us about what type of opportunities there are for seniors?
Yes. There also...
I remember you mentioning when we were talking before the show about, well, you said companionship. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Also being able to plan activities geared around companionship, having social hours, and just getting people out and actively engaged in the community.
And so where do people go for this? This isn't in their own houses, right?
No. In their communities, planning activities, getting all of the elderly out.
So maybe like in a community center?
Like in a community center or a housing development. And just getting the seniors out and getting them engaged and active and uplifting and inspiring the community.
Would they have specific people that they would meet with on a monthly basis, or would it be kind of random every time? Or
I think pretty much people that live within the community.
Within the community.
Yeah,
So
usually people do this already.
Yeah.
But we just want to really promote it because it just gets people moving and active and get them to continue to live independently in their own neighborhood.
And it's tough, like especially, we've had such a long winter.
Right.
And you don't want to leave your house. And I mean, you and I, we have to go to work, so we have to leave our house.
Right.
For someone who doesn't, then they get really stuck in their own home and they get very isolated.
Right.
So this is a great opportunity for them to meet each other.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, companions can meet and be that friend to someone else.
Yeah. What are some of the benefits of volunteering, other than these wonderful things we've talked about being a part of your community and helping out?
Making an impact.
What are some of the benefits of the program?
We have we throw a great recognition event every year. And if you haven't been to, let alone the RSVP recognition event, but if you haven't been to the Elderly Commission's events that they host for the elderly, they do a great job. So we throw a great recognition event and everyone have a good time.
And then you mentioned some of the insurance stuff, right?
And then the insurance, we offer automobile life and accidental insurance.
Is there reimbursement for
and
travel?
And there's reimbursement for travel up to a certain amount every month.
A little bit, but it helps out.
It helps
out, especially for people driving their cars.
Definitely.
So if someone's interested in learning more, who should they contact?
Feel free to reach me, Taisha Jones Horner, at 617-635-3988. And you can go on to the City of Boston website and look for the elderly tab.
So I think it's cityofboston.gov/elderly.
Yes.
And then I think there's another tab for RSVP.
Yes. And then you'll have all your information right there.
Great. So definitely call Taisha, and you can learn much more about all the opportunities available to you through the City of Boston to contribute in your community, because there is such a need out there. And like Taisha was telling me, it's not even about the need. I mean, that's just part of it. The other part is about you and the impact you'll have and the connections you'll make with your neighbors.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, it would be all about connecting people in the neighborhood.
Right. Making connections.
That's right. So thank you so much, Taisha, for coming and talking, and we'd love to hear more as the year progresses, and maybe you can bring a volunteer next time.
I would love to come back with a volunteer.
And you can talk about their experience.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
So thank you for watching Seniors Count, brought to you by Mayor of Boston, Martin J. Walsh, and our Commissioner, Emily Shea. To contact us, please call 617-635-4366 or the Mayor's 24-hour hotline at 617-635-4500. You can also email us at elderly@boston.gov. Also, you can find us on Facebook. Have a great afternoon.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself,